Do you feel like you're not living up to your full potential or that your job is holding you back? You can't get those lost years back, but you can learn from it and start today to get the life that you've always wanted. You are designed for more. And today we are going to show you exactly how to find your purpose in 3 easy steps. I'm Garrett, this is my sister Kim, and this is the Prime Grit Mission.
So I want to tell everybody a story, and you jump in if I miss something good.
Got it.
His name's Scott Harrison. His story starts, we're going to pick up on his story when he is in New York. He's a promoter for bars and clubs, nightclubs.
And alcohol.
He's trying to get everybody to come party every night, and he parties himself doing it.
A professional partier.
Essentially,
Some people might say that's the dream life.
Yeah, he probably thought it was initially.
That's probably why he got into it.
Yeah, drinking, drugs, sex, everything. He's in it, and he's in deep, and he does this for 10 years. And he realizes that he is essentially miserable. He wakes up at noon every day, totally hungover and miserable every day, and then does it again, parties all night long. And then one day he realizes, okay, I'm miserable, and he looks at his life and he says to himself, I am truly, spiritually, and morally bankrupt. Like, I have no morals at all.
He just realized it, huh?
And he's helping everybody else
be the same way.
That's his job and his life. And he was raised Christian and felt this dichotomy of what his life was and what it is now. And so he literally asks himself this question. He says, what would my life be like if it was the complete opposite of my life now? And then he starts thinking about growing up Christian. He starts reading the Bible. He comes to James 1:27, which essentially says, the value of a life is to help the widows and the poor and to obey God. And he's like, well, I'm 0 for 3 on those things. And so he decides to do something totally radical. He starts reading the Bible. He starts seeking out God again, and he sells everything he has. He quits his job, sells everything he has, and he starts trying to join all these charitable organizations, and no one wants him because he's
tainted.
Yeah. They think that's not a good face for our company.
Yeah, well, it's probably not for a nonprofit to say we help orphans, but we got this professional partier, right?
Yeah. And so no one would take him, and then he finally finds this place that says, if you're willing to go live in Liberia, Africa, and pay us $500 a month, we will let you come.
So he paid?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like, well, that's pretty much as far as the opposite of my life I was living that I could get, is paying to do good instead of getting paid to do bad.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So he goes, and it's one of those ships that's like a doctor ship. They ship out all these doctors, and they spend their vacation time there on the ship, and they do surgeries and other medical help for people there that can't afford it.
Okay.
And so it's also charitable work for these doctors and nurses that come over. And he's there, and he's helping advertise, getting people to come to the ship. And they get the tumors. They have these massive tumors on their face that fill their mouths. People are literally dying because they suffocate from their own tumors and stuff.
Gosh.
And he said there's a doctor for one doctor for 50,000 people. And in the U.S., it's one for 280 people. So essentially, if you have a medical emergency, you don't get help.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So he did this for a full year. He's in Liberia for a year, and he said that they had 1,500 slots they could fill a day, and 5,000 people would come. And they had walked for a month.
To get there
with their kids.
Wow.
And they turned 3,000 away pretty much every time.
Wow.
And that's so sad.
That's crazy.
And so they give everything to try to fix these things. And he is, changing his life. He's totally having this radical shift. But he loved it so much he went back for a second year. And
Did they make him pay that time too?
I don't know. We'll have to ask him someday. But he goes back again, and this is the first time that he sees people drinking from really dirty water. So he essentially learns that like 90% of the people there have dirty water that they are drinking, and it's poisonous to them. So it's killing them, making them sick. It's part of what grows the tumors, all these things that he's like just so sad. And he met this little girl, and she had lived her whole life from this little like swamp. That's how they wash their dishes, wash their bodies. That's what they drink out of, what they cook their food with. And so everyone gets sick. And he was really, really impacted by this. And throwback really quick to his childhood, his family had bought this house. He calls it an old gray house. And it was him, his dad, and his mom. And his mom, they all started getting really sick, like getting these weird migraines and all like nausea, fainting, all these things.
Yeah.
There's carbon monoxide leak in their house.
Oh, gosh.
Dioxide.
Monoxide would kill you.
Yeah, carbon dioxide.
Okay.
And so they're all sick. They don't know why. Eventually his mom collapses. He finds his mom collapsed, and they take her to the doctor, and she has so much carbon dioxide in her blood that she's just super, super ill. And his dad actually ends up finding the leak, and they fix it, and him and his dad get better, and his mom never gets better. So she stays sick like her whole life, his whole life. She has to wear a mask. Anything like perfume, anything that smells, anything at all, like she gets sick. And so he was constantly caring for his mom. So he has this soft spot for people that are chronically ill or have inability to get well, right? And so he sees this, and he's like, I'm going to fix this. And he starts Charity Water, which funds, and he actually met someone there that had a little bit of money, but would do like 3 or 4 or 5 wells a year to help these little villages.
Yeah.
And so he learned from him, and then grew Charity Water, which is a huge, huge, huge foundation now. He's helped 20 million people get clean water. But it's still, there's 703 million people without access to clean water still. And his whole vision is to make sure everybody has clean water. That's like what he believes his purpose is. And so I love this story for a couple different reasons, but I love that he had a moment where he realized this isn't it. And then he took radical change. He started seeking God and decided to make changes in his life to improve himself. And then he found, this is the most important part. He started throwing parties. For his 31st birthday, he threw a giant party from all his friends that he's ever made in his old life. And they all come, and he asks, instead of asking for gifts, he asks for donations to Charity Water, and that's what starts the whole thing. But he uses his gifts that he already has, which is marketing, promoting, parties, to raise money and to solve this problem. And he finds like the root cause of the problem and tries to address it. But yeah, isn't that a beautiful story?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's amazing. It's impressive that he was able to recognize where he was actually at in life and then go and try and change it. And I think every one of us has kind of these opportunities in our life if we're willing to just kind of open our eyes, wake up a little bit, and decide like, hey, I don't like the trajectory that I'm going, but most of us don't look past, the next vacation or the weekend. So I feel like we miss it. We miss the trajectory where we're going. We don't realize that, hey, we're on this highway to a place that we don't want to be.
Yeah.
And so we never take the off ramp. We just keep going around thinking we'll get where we want to be, but we don't, So like props to him for actually like recognizing that, especially when you look at, from how a lot of the people in the world would see it. They'd say, "This life is a dream." I bet he told his buddies what he was doing all the time. And they're like, what, you get paid to go hang out at these cool places and live the nightlife of New York, and you're paid to do that? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever have to pay for drinks. Like, all these things, I bet that his friends were like constantly telling them that they were jealous of,
Yeah.
you know? And then to say like, this isn't it. I think it actually takes, well, obviously some of it is when you live that life long enough, most people know it wears you down and it doesn't actually bring happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But to have the wherewithal to recognize it and change is impressive.
Especially when he's in addiction, like he's addicted to like 7 different things at that point and gets himself out, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Which brings us to the point that we want to talk about today, which is like, how do you actually find your purpose? So when we talk about purpose, we have the Prime Grit definition of what we're actually talking about, so we're all on the same page, right? Kim, you have it? Can you pull it up and read it?
Purpose is a unique problem that you were specifically designed to solve to help a specific group of people.
Okay, so what we really mean by that is that you are unique. Your talents, your experiences, your gifts, the way you think, the way you talk, the way that you are, and everything that makes you unique has prepared you to do things and to reach people in a way that other people can't, and to solve problems for them that nobody else can, right? That's what we mean by purpose. We're talking about you and everything that you can do and you can bring to the table that will bless and help other people, right? And it's not just you can do these things, right? Like you could say Michael Jordan's purpose was to play basketball. It's like, well, he was the very best basketball player, right? But that doesn't mean, and I'm not trying to start a LeBron versus Jordan debate here, okay? Yeah. But I'm in favor of Michael if we're wondering. Yeah. Okay, but if Michael's purpose, he could say it was to play basketball, right? And I would argue that was part of it that set you up to actually fulfill your purpose, right? And I'm not going to pretend to know what his is or anything like that. But the example is, it's not just what you do. And that's what so many people get caught up in, is that my job title is my purpose. And that is almost never the case.
Yeah. And I would say that the real thing that we're trying to teach today is, okay, you have one, which we've already clarified. Every single person has one. But you need to find what yours is. And that's what we want to talk about today, is how to find it. So tell us, what's step 1?
So there are 3 steps. Okay, step 1, as I peek at my notes here.
Literally wrote the steps himself.
And the book for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so step 1 is that you actually have to start looking at it. Now that sounds like a cop-out, lame step, but here's the thing. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Like, they just really don't. They think I'm going to, and they fall into, I just call it the system, but they fall into, I go to college and then I'm picking a career and I'm picking a job title and I'll make that my identity. And I'll take the lifestyle that comes with it. Yeah. And they take their trade-offs there. So if I want to be a doctor or a surgeon, I might work 18-hour days, but I'll get really a lot of money, right? And so they'll take that trade-off and say, I am a surgeon, and that's who they are, right? And then they don't ever spend the time thinking like, hey, I am good at being a surgeon, right? That's my occupation. That's what I do to support my family. But what am I actually capable of? What is my full potential? Who are the people that I can really reach, right? The world doesn't need another surgeon. What the world needs is somebody who has the skills of a surgeon that can apply it to solve a problem for people, right? Those are the people when they actually find their purpose, solve real problems, right? They're the ones that find a way to transform heart surgeries or to solve brain tumors or whatever else it may be. But when they have no purpose, they're just trading their time for money. And while their occupation can benefit people, sometimes hurt them others, they're detached from it because it's not their purpose. Their purpose is to show up and make money, right? They're not looking. That's my point.
And
right?
No one's telling you that you have one.
No, they're not. In fact, they're telling you, you got to have a job. Yeah. You know, everyone says that. I've heard that so many times, like, you got to have a job, right? And I don't want to dive into that too much because you know how I can go down a rabbit hole.
And we already talked about it.
But telling somebody that they have to follow this system that statistically does not work. Mathematically, it does not work. It works for some. It works part way, right? I'm not trying to say it's all trash, right? It's workable, but it's not a good system. It's not leading to a life full of fulfillment where people are actually happy, right? I feel like we always talk about the American dream and what that means and the possibilities behind it, but yet we don't actually try and map out what we want our dream to be.
Yeah.
Or we do, and then our actions don't lead to it because we're not actually looking for a way to make it possible.
Yeah.
You know, and the closest thing that we have to people doing that is saving for retirement, which, you know, as we talked about in our very first episode, only 3 out of 10 people actually get to retirement with the same amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And even then, you've given up 40 years to get to that point, right? That's a lot of time. That's a lot.
Yeah. And so essentially we're saying you have a purpose and you need to start looking for it. So you haven't been taught to look for it. You haven't even been taught that you have one, but you do. That's the message. You have a purpose. And the first step is to start looking. So ask, seek, knock, right? That's the scripture. You need to be asking God what it is. Ask yourself what it is. Even Scott Harrison, he started asking himself, what would my life be like if I was 100% opposite of what I am now? Right? That was his way of taking an inventory of his life and what he wanted it to be or what it could be. But he started asking questions that led him to seek something else. So he asked a question that totally changed his life, and then he started seeking by quitting his job, selling everything he had, and going away, which we don't have to do it that way. But there are steps that have to be taken as you start to seek.
Well, and everyone's journey is a little different.
Yeah.
Some people are already really close to what their purpose is, right?
Yeah.
Even Scott, I mean, we say he's a professional partier, right? Well, he used that skill to turn Charity Water into what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
His ability to bring people together and have a good time and whatever, you know, throwing a party directly transferred into what he needed to do, right? And that's what we talk about, like your past and your experiences and your skills all transfer towards fulfilling your purpose. You don't give those up by choosing purpose. But he finally had to decide to look and to say, hey, my job isn't actually fulfilling. And I feel like I could do more. And he had to look at his life and say, am I actually reaching my potential? Or am I just accepting something less? And if you're accepting something less, or you feel like your job is holding you back, it probably is. And you probably are. And it's time to start looking. So the question comes, where do we look, Kim?
That is a good question. So what we mean when we say start looking, because that could mean anything. And I do want to just say, I think people are afraid to even start looking. Like even to like think that there's something different or something better. But don't be afraid. It says it in the scriptures a million times. Don't be afraid. There's so many amazing things ahead as you start looking for your purpose. But the way that you start looking is to take an inventory of your life. That's step 2.
Step 2.
Step 2, take an inventory of your life. So look at what skills you have, what you're passionate about, the life experiences you've had, good and bad, like the top 5 best experiences, the top 5 worst experiences, what you learned from them, who you became because of them, even like the things you love to do for fun. And take an inventory and look at all these things and see where they kind of point to. Garrett always says that it will be where your skills and your passions, your skills and your passions align, cross, is likely somewhere in that realm is where you're going to find what your purpose is.
So you just listed a lot of things.
I did.
Yeah. To make it simple for everyone that's listening, start by listing the stuff that you are good at, your skills, your talents, right? Just start right there. If you know, like, hey, here's what I'm good at, and then the next one is your passions. Here's what I actually like, and here's what I actually care about, right? Because, for example, I might be really good at, math, right? But I don't like it. So if I'm really good at math and I don't like it, probably don't want to make that a part of what I'm doing, right? And what it actually, for those that have actually found their purpose, what they'll find is that skill that they had will end up being applied in a way that is super valuable and that you'll love doing. You just don't realize it yet.
Yeah.
But start by looking at your skills, right? And your talents. And then next, look at your passions. Okay, what do I like to do? And then also, this is important, who do I care about? And then what group of people or what problems reach me more than others, right?
Yeah.
There are some people who care deeply about nature and animals. And then there's other people who care deeply about hunting, You know what I mean? Like, not everybody is the same, and neither is wrong. You are built for your purpose. Others are built for theirs. And if you actually come together with your purpose, they'll align because God is the one in charge. But my point is, if you don't actually look at your skills and your passions, you're not going to actually find it, right? And part of those passions are people, and it has to be people because that's who you will serve, right? And I shouldn't say always, because again, there's people who love animals, but and there's the environment. There's a lot of things, but call them who's, right? You need to know who it is that you're trying to serve, and you'll find it, like you said, Kim, where your skills and your passions align right in there. And one little tidbit about that, your biggest weakness will probably be in that exact same area. So you will have something you'll have to overcome that you're not going to like. That's going to be hard for you. And it's probably the one thing in your way, but that's going to be holding you back, right? But so you have to take this inventory. And then when you take this inventory, you got to actually go back to the seeking part. You got to start saying, okay, start by asking, what does this mean? Who can I serve? What can I do? What am I capable of doing? What do I have to work with? What are things that I wish I had to work with? Because that's also part of your passions. And then you got to then you got to start seeking. So that means it's easy nowadays. Ask AI to try and map you something and just tell it specifically what you're looking for. Don't say I'm looking for a job. Don't say I'm looking for, a title. Say I am looking for my purpose.
My life's purpose.
Right? And it'll throw out a billion ideas. It's probably not going to tell you the right one.
Yeah.
But it will get you thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And that pondering, that thinking, that asking yourself will help you find the answer.
What I love too was about Scott's story is that he started just kind of blindly trying to do good. And then, ended up working on this doctorship. And he obviously cared about it and it was impactful to him, but it wasn't his call. It wasn't his purpose, right?
Yeah.
And then he sees the water and he's like, that is it for me. And he knew it. And sometimes when we're seeking, we'll go on a journey as we're trying to figure out what it is. But he ended up finding, and you'll feel like the call to something. As you start asking yourself these questions and seeking and looking, you will feel drawn more to certain people, certain problems because of your life experiences and who you are. And keep seeking that out. And even if that ends up not being the exact thing, it will likely take you to your purpose.
Yeah. And I would actually disagree with you. You said how he started blind. In his own mind, he started blank. He didn't know what he was doing, but he wasn't blind at all. He probably started saying okay, I need to change my life. What do I care about? What do I want to go for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he naturally had an inclination to people that were sick, right?
Yeah.
Probably because of what he experienced with his mom.
Yeah.
So he started looking for places he could help people that were sick. That's what led him to a hospital ship, right? And then when he's there and he could find the root cause of it, similar to them trying to discover that it was this carbon dioxide poisoning, right? He starts looking for the root cause. He finds out, hey, it's dirty water. Boom. Now he's got his mission, right? He found the people he cared about. He found their biggest problem. He nailed it down to what would be the permanent fix and then went for it.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, he didn't start blind. He started blank just because he didn't know.
Yeah.
But we're telling you right now, start by looking at your passions. Start by looking at your skills, your talents. If you look at those two things, you're going to be really close and you'll be starting on the right path, right? And then, like I said, it has to go back to actually seeking it. And this is what you were talking about. You got to take some steps, right? You can't steer a parked car. Doesn't matter how hard you turn that steering wheel, that car is not turning.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's driving, you can turn that steering wheel. And not only that, you can turn it really easy 100 times until you find the right place.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to sit and wait and hope that something comes to you, it's just probably not going to happen. And that's how your purpose works, and it's how life works. You don't build something that benefits you in life by just waiting for it, right? And, everyone has luck in their life. Everyone has different chances that do fall into your lap. But if you're just waiting for your big break, it's not going to come.
For 90% of us, it's probably not
99.9999%. If you want to actually make the life you want to have, it's a choice, and it requires you to do something. And finding your purpose is that way almost exclusively. You can get really close to it naturally. Everyone will. because guess what? It's the things you care about. It's what you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
It's the things you're good at. People naturally drift towards those things.
Yeah.
So you're closer to your purpose than you think. But you're not going to find it if you don't start seeking. And then take this inventory, because that'll give you a much better direction on where to go, so you're not wandering around wasting time.
So step 1, ask, seek, knock. Start looking. Step 2, take an inventory of your skills and talents. And then step 3, we call it the self-improvement step, where you have to kind of be willing to leave behind things that you are getting in the way. Maybe things you shouldn't be doing. Maybe things you should be doing that you need to start doing. But you need to start improving yourself and becoming the person that can fulfill whatever your purpose is.
Yeah, I mean, there's that sense of like you have to be capable of doing it. Like you got to improve yourself. There's also this concept of the dream life you want to have. In order to get it, you have to give up the current life that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a trick, I would say trick, but like a cheat. I don't know what you want to call it. There's something that's happened in today's society that makes that harder than it has ever been. Because people have learned to monetize you doing nothing.
Yeah.
Your attention. And they have learned to make you addicted to giving them that attention, and you get nothing in return. Right? And so you don't have this, it's harder to give away your old life. Because guess what? It's comfortable. It's easy. It is entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
To give up that old life, to have the life that you really want to have, it's harder now.
Yeah.
It is. And especially harder when you consider the fact that it's not, I just decide it one time and it's done. It is a daily decision. It is something that, you need to make that decision one time, cut yourself off from it, but it's going to keep coming back and ask again and again and again. It's persistent because guess what? It's an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Your old life, honestly, most people live this way in a state of perpetual addiction. And I'm no different. I can say this because I'm there,
Mm-hmm.
The phone, Netflix, food, I love candy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sugar,
Sorry.
Coke. I mean, all these things, like, they just hold you back. They hold you back and you get nothing for it, right? So I actually have these examples. So most of us, we don't think in terms of being an owner, of building the life that we want to have, and we think in terms of what can I have right now, right? And it's backwards. We should be thinking about who we can be, the life that we can grow and build, and what our life could become, as opposed to what can I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So just as an example, I looked this up. If you were to go buy Amazon Prime, right? You pay for your Amazon Prime membership. If you were to do that from the very first year that they opened until today, you would have spent, I went back and looked it up, you would have spent $2,278, right? If you would have instead taken the exact same amount of money and said, I'm not trying to entertain my life away, I'm trying to own my own life, not sell my time for money, work for someone else, build someone else's empire. But he said, I'm trying to make my own, so I want to be an owner. He would have said, I bought the same amount of the Prime membership in stock in Amazon. Today, it would have been worth $41,810.
Wow.
That's a 1,735% return on your money. Instead, most people just spent $2,300. But if you would have thought about being an owner, you would have gotten $42,000, right? Okay, so I did this with 2 other companies, this exact same thing, all right? I did it with Netflix, and I did it with Walmart. So those ones are powerful because they actually had stock splits, if you know what that is. It's pretty cool. It's where you buy one share, but they split it, so you end up with 2.
Oh.
But they do them differently for that, right? So if you look at Netflix, if you had just bought Netflix and paid the subscription from the time that they were public compared to buying stock, right? So if you just paid your subscription over the course of, that's 24 years, they started in 2002. So for 24 years, you would have spent just under $4,000. It was $3,974. That's what you would have spent, about $4,000 on Netflix. If you would have instead put that into Netflix stock, just as you were paying that instead, you would actually have ended up with $605,290.
Well,
That's over a 15,000% return on your money. But again, people don't think about being the owner. Okay, last one, because this is the most powerful one, and it's Walmart.
woohoo! Shout out.
Yep. In Walmart, if you would have, instead of just going and buying constantly from them, if you would have invested in their stock at just saving $10 of grocery a week. So if you would have saved $10 a week in groceries and then put that into Walmart stock, it would have cost you all the way till today $29,120. That's how much you would have just saved if you kept it, or spent if you didn't save it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you would have put that exact same one into Walmart, when you count just the growth they have, and then they also pay really good dividends, you would actually have $67.9 million.
Wow.
So
Everybody regretting their life right now.
and maybe everyone has to listen to this on double speed, because I always talk about numbers because I like it, right? But my whole point in saying this is that when you don't try and control or own your own life, and you're willing to just trade it for what's given you, you will always lose. Okay? Every single system that we have in our society is not built to benefit you. It's built to benefit them, right? And I know we don't always think that, but it is. It 100% is. Healthcare, entertainment, social media, even the government, it is not built to take care of us, right? And even if it was built that way, it doesn't. Okay, it has changed and warped to benefit itself. So if you do not try and own your own life, and most people don't, most people say, I would rather trade my time for money. I'd rather get the life that's coming to me. I'd rather pick in these specific choices and job titles and just take that and accept it, than they would build their own life. And not only that, when they're in those situations, because it's so hard to not fall into that system, right? And I've talked about it. I was in that for 13, 14 years before I finally had my eyes opened and I woke up a little bit. But if you, to leave that system is really hard. It hooks into you. It's so addicting. To actually walk away from it is really hard. That is why the last step is not easy.
Yeah. We talk about it in the framing of be, do, have. So you need to be something to do something to have what you want. Whereas America has it totally flipped, where it's like, I want to have.
The whole world, not even just America.
Yeah, but really bad in America, I think.
Sure.
We're a very consumeristic country, but we want to have things, but we don't want to do anything to get them. And we definitely don't want to be anything different than we already are, because it is uncomfortable. And so that's why self-improvement is such a pivotal step. You're going to have to let go of things. You're going to have to change. Even it's funny, because what we're talking about often is that people aren't happy in their jobs. They aren't happy in their lives. They don't know what they're doing. They feel like they're wandering and lost, but they don't want to let go, because the unknown is scarier than just staying with what you don't like or don't enjoy. It's scarier than being unfulfilled. And that is scary in and of itself. But as you start to seek and take inventory and improve yourself, you'll find your purpose, and it will invigorate you to the point that you are ready to let go of what you need to let go of, to live that life, to have your dream life, and to help the people that you really have been designed to help.
Yeah. And that's part of why self-improvement is so important. There's two parts of that, right? There's you have to stop the bad things, or don't the don'ts, as I heard Myron Golden say, shout out. He said, don't the don'ts before you can do the do's, right? But there's so many things in our life that we know we probably shouldn't be doing, or things that are holding us back. And if you don't stop them, even if you start doing the things that are going to make you better in your life, you're still going to be held back, right? So you got to cut the things that are holding you back. You got to get rid of them, right? Anything that's addicting, you need to cut. And then you got to start doing the actual things that will make you better. And here's why the self-improvement part is so important, is like you were saying about the be, do, have. When you become someone more, you will naturally live different. And when you become someone that can actually live the dream life that you want to have, it becomes almost inevitable. Like, it will come. But if you do not improve yourself, and you just think, I'm okay how I am, I don't want to change, I am comfortable this way, I don't want to give up this thing, you're never going to actually be the person that can have or do the things to have what you want to have. And if you ever did get there, you'd be shocked at how it would wreck you because you did not become the person that can last there.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why the self-improvement is actually so important in finding your purpose. And it's all part of a connected process. When you actually start looking, and then you actually take an inventory, which really is the first step of looking. And then you say, okay, I'm going to start being better at these things. You might see gaps in this inventory of your skills or your passions. You start trying to improve them. You start trying to cut out those bad things. Things become more clear. You lose all the baggage. You raise your floor, right? And it opens up the ceiling. And then all of a sudden you can realize, hey, I was designed for more, and I can finally see what it is. And if you're like me, when you finally figure it out, you're going to be like, how could I possibly do that? Right? It's a higher calling, but it is so much better. And it is so much, it's so worth it because you're going to something where the work doesn't feel like work and where the work actually matters. It energizes you. You want to do it. And then you're seeing good happening, and there's a fulfillment that comes that you never get in a job.
Yeah.
Never. You can't get in a job. You might have 1 or 2 moments in a job if you're lucky. Most people don't even have that.
Yeah.
But you'll have that every single thing that you build and everything that you do when you're living your purpose. And it fuels you so much more where, I mean, I could go all day about the benefits of actually having your purpose. But if you want to find it and you want to live this life, you got to start by looking. You got to start looking at yourself and inventory yourself, and then you got to improve yourself. And as you start doing that, you are going to open up the floodgates to be able to see clearly, to have God guide you to actually know what your purpose is, to know who you can help and how you can do it, and then actually fulfill your full potential.
I don't even know if I could say it any better than that, but start today. That's the start today. That's what we want. Start seeking, take your inventory, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear how it's going for you guys.
We have a free masterclass.
Yeah, Design for More masterclass. We'll link it.
You can just go take that for free, and it'll walk you through some steps, step by step, to actually find out what your purpose is. It goes more into detail on each step and everything, but it's super good if you're getting started and you want to know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And it's free.
I just want to say one thing, and maybe we're backtracking a little, but before we end, is just ask yourself 2 questions that I feel like we don't really ask ourselves. So I want you to ask yourself, what is your real dream life? What would it really look like for you? And what addictions do you have? A lot of people don't think they have addictions, but it is almost impossible to live in our society and not have some sort of addiction. And so think about what addictions you have and start there on the don'ts. If it's your Netflix, your Diet Coke, whatever it is, like, start there.
Diet. Ha!
Diet Coke. That's a big thing, Diet Coke.
I just like regular Coke.
I know. Or regular Coke.
Okay.
No discrimination
Darn
here.
it.
But do you have anything else to say for today?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Live with purpose.
Live with purpose.